take a look. It's new to me, so it'll be the first time I've been involved in it.
Yeah, you scroll up, so keep going up. You are one. Which district are you?
I tell you what,
I'm one.
So you. Okay. Number two, you need to gain 89 people. You should be at 4,200.
So there's not.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. First thing we have is the approval of agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I have none.
If not, then we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Been moved in second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Contrary, motion carried. Next, approval of minutes for November 8th. I thought they read well. I'll make a motion to approve them.
I'll second.
Been moved in second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay. First item we have on the agenda is RSVP and foster grandparents fiscal year 23 funding request. Welcome, Stacy. Carrie.
Thank you. We're once again just asking for level funding, 9,000 for RSVP and 1,000 for the foster grandparent program. I looked that up. We've been asking for the level funding since 2006. There's no ask for an increase. We try to look for other avenues to cover budgetary expenses. RSVP currently receives $122,500 grant, federal grant, and $14,705 from the state. Foster grandparent program receives a $65,543 federal grant. RSVP's local match, it's a 30% match for the RSVP grant that totals $52,500. They look for local match when they give these federal grants to show support of the programs. The foster grandparent match is a 10% match, which is $7,283. The match is a weird figure. It's not 10% of the dollar amount. It's a times 3% divided by 7% to get your 30%. It's like a retail kind of math. It's federal math is what it is. So if you look at those numbers and think that doesn't calculate 30%, it's because they have their own formula that we have to use. Currently, during COVID, some of our things changed that we did with volunteers, obviously, because a lot of places were closed. We were doing things via Zoom. Luckily, the pen pal program that we have in our area schools was still able to go on because those are done from home, volunteers right from home. The exchange packets, the schools had ways that we could exchange the packets without going into the buildings, and they could quarantine the letters until the kiddos got them. So we're able to continue with that. We were able to do speak up in a few classrooms using Zoom. Some of the schools had some capabilities to use their Google Classroom or whatever. So we were able to coordinate that. Took a little work from the teachers and getting the volunteers up to speed on using that. So everyone is tech savvy. We also looked for other avenues. Normally we would visit with people in nursing homes. We have our sing-along group and our companionship. We looked for alternative ways for that. Also, volunteers monthly wrote cards and letters to people in nursing homes. We also did a project where in about February, March, we had volunteers plant small pots of geraniums. And in May, we were able to deliver every nursing home resident in Carroll and Calhoun and Crawford County a potted plant. They colored pictures, like different artwork. There's some beautiful artists in RSVP to try to give some outreach to the people that were living in all those facilities when they were closed and weren't allowing even family members in. So I had a lot of feedback from activity coordinators from those places on how much that did lift some of the spirits of some of those people that were getting very depressed and very sad. I mean, imagine not seeing family members for 14 months. It's still going on in some of these places. So we looked for other alternatives. We had several agencies reach out to us wanting PPE, masks, surgical gowns. Volunteers worked on those types of things we handed out. We still did a lot of our days of service, our 9/11 project where we recognize all of our local emergency personnel. We were still able to do that, and we've already done that this year on 9/11. Our Blizzard Packs project that we partner with Heidi, put together the meals that are shelf stable that are for home delivered meal recipients. That way, if there's a blizzard and they don't get meals, sometimes if you have a bad storm on a Friday and a Monday, that's 4 days that some of these people that are frail individuals are going out without a meal. So we had shelf stable meals. We were able to pack 80 meals, 80 bags that had enough for 4 different meals in it for them. So each recipient got either something for breakfast, lunch, and if we ended up not having any blizzard days, then it was extra meals for people that might be a little food insecure. Our Veterans Day project, we reached out to partner agencies and recognized their veterans with volunteers filled out cards, and we had a patriotic pin pinned into those cards. We also still work with having quilts for all the Head Start kids for 5 counties. That's their nap blankets. We also supply those for anybody that requests for nursing homes, assisted livings. We still have our outreach, and as we can, as places are opening, our singers and everybody are slowly getting back into place and back in the groove again. Questions for RSVP? We kept busy. At first we kind of struggled when we all started working from home and like, how do you engage volunteers? Some of them aren't tech savvy. There were some grants that we were through the CARES Act that we could get. So we were able to purchase some Chromebooks, and for a volunteer that didn't have a computer, it didn't limit them then if they wanted to participate. So they were able to use a Chromebook and could participate in some of these programs. So that helped. That was money that we didn't have to try to come up with to figure out how to get these people back involved again. But we're, like I said, we're slowly, things are getting more normal, maybe, as we can say, or what our new normal is. Granted, we still have some facilities that will have a call that say, we're closed this week for 10 days or whatever.
Some of these programs you develop from continuing from this point forward.
Yes.
And some of the ones that you used to have may get dropped off.
Right.
But it's, as
So,
long as you're meeting the same need.
yes, we are. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything being completely go away. Some people are hesitant to want to go back into the schools. I get it. I get that, but we had most of our volunteers return. We've had our speak up sessions, and they've the ones that have been willing to go. It's been fantastic. I don't feel, we tell all our volunteers, you have to know what's best for you and what's comfortable for you. And some of them are choosing to do some of these things that they can do at home. Some of them can, we can fill out cards to recognize our emergency personnel, or we can do that to recognize our local veterans. I'm always looking for some alternative things that people can do from home. That's why Pen Pals has been a fantastic program. I probably had 40 new people jump on board this year that wanted to be a pen pal, because it's something they can do from home. They're still connecting with a student. The schools have given me a lot of feedback on the pen pal program. It's 3rd grade and it's letter writing, and it meets some of the Iowa Core benchmarks through the communications. And I've had teachers tell me that they might have a student where they ask them, write me something that you did over Christmas break. Well, what does the average kid, a lot of them write that don't want to write anything? Oh, nothing. And she said they get their pen pal letter and respond. And a student that would maybe write a couple sentences for something would write a page or 2 pages. So we're meeting that goal of increasing their language arts, their writing, And reading, because they're reading their letters. It's more interesting to get a letter from somebody and ask each other questions from the school back and forth. And speak up, it was good to get back into the classrooms and get your son this year.
My sisters.
Was it your sister's son? Okay, okay. He gave us a speech on fishing. I wasn't
Yes, I
surprised.
saw it.
Yeah, I was not surprised, but it's nice to see these things. We can go back face to face again and keep things going and keep them rolling. But through the past year, we've been busy coming up with other projects. So we continue to keep, I still have to report out on my federal grant, and you know, they're allowing us to do alternative things. We have work plans that we're supposed to fulfill, but they understood when schools closed, I couldn't fulfill those programs. But then they required us to come up with some of these alternative things that we can do. So that's what we've been doing.
Well, I think we all have to reach outside the box and do things differently. And
Yeah.
I think I've been, as I've always said, this, every disaster is something good. So hopefully we'll find that.
It does. It made us think in different ways and how we can use the resources of our volunteers in a different way. And, you know, and it's also enriching for them. We forget about that all the times. We always look at, well, how's it benefiting our community? How's it benefiting the classrooms? We often forget how it's benefiting that volunteer. You know, it gives a lot of people an activity, especially when they weren't going anywhere, keeps their mind working, keeps you from thinking about other things, maybe dwelling on your health hasn't been good, but you can think about this, you've had something to look forward to. So I always think that's a kind of a win-win. We're benefiting our communities, but we're also benefiting our volunteers too.
Sometimes it's more important for them.
I see that sometimes when you have them send you cards. I have a bulletin board full of cards, Scott can attest to that, that'll say, you know, thank you for the outreach. We sent a weekly newsletter during COVID. We usually send one monthly. During the time when everything was kind of shut down, we sent a newsletter every week, a short one with something in it, some form of information, and then something that was maybe fun. We do a scavenger hunt where they had to find things in it. And we got more feedback from that, from people that we're still not doing it weekly, obviously, we've got a lot of things going again, but we're still doing a couple a month because people loved that so much. So there's something that good came out of the pandemic, additional communication with our people, making them feel connected.
You know, questions or
Excuse me. Foster Grandparent Program covers all of Carroll County, and it began locally in 1994. It's a rewarding program that benefits the senior citizens and children in need. The Foster Grandparent Program fosters heart and hope while giving volunteers meaning, purpose, and somewhere to go. It can change a child's life when they are mentored, tutored, or given care by one of the volunteers. The foster grandparent volunteers often say the best reward is working with the children, and some say, excuse me, that the program gives them a reason to get up in the morning and a chance for human interaction that they would not have otherwise. The foster grandparent has an average household income of about $15,000 per year and normally spend their money locally. So without the foster grandparent program, Carroll County would lose an average of over $50,000 per year. For over 25 years, Carroll County residents have benefited from the dedication of the foster grandparent program and its volunteers. The program keeps the senior citizens who volunteer active and involved. The foster grandparent program gives the senior citizens opportunities they may not have otherwise. And without that purpose, many of them could see deteriorating health and maybe depend on public services for day-to-day living. They are eager to make a difference for others while helping themselves at the same time. And during the challenging times of COVID and isolation, the foster grandparent program worked hard on alternative options, overcoming obstacles in order to keep them from being idle or isolated at home. Thankfully, at the beginning of the school year, I have been able to place all of my volunteers back at their sites, and there are currently 10 foster grandparents placed, with an 11th one currently being recruited and trained to begin serving in March. The volunteers are placed at the elementary and middle schools, daycares, Head Starts, and libraries of Carroll County. The program continues to research and implement innovative funding opportunities and has established many successful fundraisers in the past including the current ongoing project through Rata Manufacturing, which commissions approximately 40% of each sale made, and the Foster Grandparent annual raffle. The Foster Grandparent program receives funding from the Carroll United Way, the City of Carroll, and Carroll County, which are the largest supporters. Others include Kiwanis, Masonic Lodge, Woodland Community Action, and Manning Community Chest.
Any questions for that?
Yeah, I have one question from, is this the first presentation?
This year,
Yes.
yes, I had to think for a minute.
I know.
We've filled out packets and stuff, but yeah, we're actually coming and speaking, so that, yeah, you would.
Well, and maybe you're aware of it. We've got some guidelines we have.
Okay,
We're still trying to figure out what those guidelines, how it affect programs like yourself. I've heard comments from cities. I've heard comments from other counties. Still getting a mixed bag and mixed messages. So until we get the right answers,
is it pursuant to public entities making donations to
Yes.
private nonprofits, other RSVP donors, or are we discussing this?
28 E's agreements, there's lots, and we're trying to decide if you have to jump through those hoops, what your expenses are going to be. First of all, you probably have to get a lawyer to help you with it, or if I don't know if we can use ours, the same lawyer that we use, which we are county attorney, could do a package cut for everybody. And I think with how the inner workings of this is still kind of in the air. I'm not going to say no,
Right,
but
right.
I can't.
I think the last discussion that we had, was it you and I with John?
Yeah, the
He
way
was
it's
gonna
got,
kind of come up with some boilerplate
yeah, it's not really a 28E, it's kind of like a memorandum of understanding that the money
Okay.
that the county's giving, for example, this program, is not a donation. We're actually paying for services that are being done in the county and benefiting.
It's all terminology.
It is.
And a workaround of the ruling that we're seeing out there. I think that ruling's been there a long time.
It has, I went and
It's just-
researched it, I heard it from the director of Dubuque, because they were already denied in Dubuque, and I don't know if that was the city or in the county, and I said, a couple differences I saw between what goes on in Dubuque is here, we are required to have a county supervisor and a Carroll City council member on our board,
Right.
which oversees our spending, so Scott can see exactly how we're spending, he's seeing our budget, he's seeing the actual expenditure, who the checks are being written out to, how it's being paid. We're in that county, they had none of that. So I think,
It may
We're in
be
a
an
different-
avenue that they
right,
may have to change.
that they may have to
allow
have
them
someone
to-
serve, and I told her that, right? But I did research the law, and it was brought up, it's been on the books for a while. It's just a matter of how it's brought to the attention, like some city had an audit, and that's how it was brought up.
Interpretation is.
Yes,
Well, it's
yes.
all been through the state
Yes.
auditor's office, it's all got brought up.
I can say, and it wouldn't just be in Carroll County, it would be across the state. Losing the funding that all these kinds of programs receive would devastate the federal grants, they'd be gone. I can't, I fundraise about 18,000 a year now on my own, and that's not getting money from United Way, the city, the county. I'm talking about running fundraisers where I am actually physically doing something. Above and beyond this $52,000 match. If I lose that, I have no idea where I would begin. When it becomes a point where all I'm doing is fundraising, I'm no longer running the program, and we're not programming. And I understand where you're coming from. You have to follow the law, whatever the state says, you're gonna have to do it.
It's not the idea that we wanna
No.
change things.
I was waiting to see if I was going to hear that or not. And we're able to do, we have operating capital. When I first started working at RSVP, we had 0 operating capital. So that means we never had any money until a grant came in. We've worked with some of our fundraising efforts over the years to at least have a 3-month cushion so that we can pay our bills if we lose some funding, which you never know how that's gonna come in. So whatever avenue we need to take, if we do need to hire an attorney, I think I've had an attorney on my board that would maybe do some
That's
things
a concern.
pro
of
bono
mine,
for me.
but then I have to throw an expense on you.
But if it's what we need to
But-
do to be in compliance, that's what we can do. I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Let us try to go, we'll walk
And
across the
see.
bridge first. And we, I don't know, the county attorney on full time.
Right, right. We'll do whatever we need to do to be compliant with law.
Very good.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having us come and keep me updated on whatever happens with that.
Well, we'll be reaching out to a lot of people.
Well, I'm sure we're not the only agency
No,
out
no,
there,
you're not.
so, and I understand.
Thank you, everybody.
Whatever happens, happens. I can't control. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holiday.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, next we have is the second tier canvas for November 2nd city school election.
Yeah, had a brain delay last week, but we got some votes from Greene County for the Glidden-Ralston School District. And since we're the control county, we're then required to report those results along with ours and then finalize those results. Each of the candidates on the ballot got 4 votes for a total of 12 votes. I'll just read. So Tyler Rohrbeck with Greene County's results had a total of 185 votes. Brandon Squibb, 184, and Andrew Thielen, 170, and there were 10 write-ins. So I just need a motion to approve this second tier canvas for Glidden, Ralston School, and then there'll be a couple forms for you all to sign.
Okay, you heard the canvas. Is there a motion to approve that second tier canvas?
I'll make that motion.
Then moved in second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion carried.
Okay, I'll pass this around. There's 2 sheets to sign, a little better than. One on that one. Oh, sorry. That's the 3rd page.
Just top 2
That's,
pages.
yeah, just the top 2. That's from Greene County.
No,
I just have it all together because I wanted to make sure that,
oh, good thing.
yeah, we already got those done.
Whoops.
Guys. Okay.
Okay. Next we have is a letter of retirement. That is from Joanne Martin, who's asked that we accept the letter of resignation since she's retired on November 30th after 31.5 years in office. Any comments?
No, she's gonna be missed, that's for sure. There's a lot of knowledge leaving with her. She's on vacation now until the end of the month, so we're gonna try to do a little thing here at the courthouse on the 30th. Coffee, cookies, something like that, and then maybe something after hours somewhere too, just for fun. But yeah, she will be missed.
31.
Yeah, and you don't realize it until you're looking for something that you've never even heard of before, and she knows where it's at.
Something that happens once every 10 years.
So we'll get by, but
And she's only a phone call away
that's right.
and a cup of coffee.
She's definitely offered her services. I wanted to make you aware of it. She did address the letter to me, but I thought the board should know too. So you guys can acknowledge that.
Thank you. Good forward.
Is there a motion
She kinda
to
laughed
accept
about
the
that.
letter with regrets?
I'll make it.
For a second? It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, motion carried. Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of things in this goal list for this, so. Hope she enjoys retirement. Okay, Stevens group until 10 o'clock. Let's go committee reports. We'll try to fill in.
We can do John, he's on.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
If he's ready.
Are you ready, John?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Let's do that.
well, let's go ahead and do that then.
Do you want me to just go and give an update?
Yeah, go with whatever you're wanting to do here.
Yep.
Okay. I think the important thing for me was just to give you an update of where we are. We've started our interviews. We've got a number scheduled. I wanted to, hear from the board, any thoughts that you guys might have for us in terms of the start of our project. But I can tell you, we've started interviews last week with some of the Carroll County staff. We're meeting this week. We're also going to be meeting with the Community Action Agency. I've already reached out to St. Anthony's Hospital, Ed Smith, the CEO. We've had a very collaborative exchange. They've offered all assistance in any way. We're going to be putting together an information and data request for them. We've already done that and sent to Courtney, the county, and we're working on getting information and data now. We've got the contract we looked at. We also had a great reach out to the Department of Human Services, Secretary Kelly Garcia and her staff at the Department of Public Health are going to be available to meet with us when we're in town. Richard Kellogg from my team and myself are going to be in town on December 8th and 9th, where we're going to spend a couple days. We're going to be meeting with St. Anthony's Hospital, CFO, the president. We're going to be meeting with Nikki, and we're also going to be meeting with a couple of other staff. And then on the 9th, on the 8th in the afternoon, we're going to spend a few hours with Kelly Garcia's Department of Public Health team that she's going to make available for us, which is going to be really important to this assessment, to identify areas of opportunity with the state and where the state is going. So you align wherever our recommendations are for you are aligned with what the state's focus is. And we're also going to be available in the afternoon on the 9th. If any member of the board would like to sit down with our team, I'd open that up for, anyone is available. And we can also schedule a Zoom meeting later on at any time of your convenience. But right now, I think things are going really well, off to a great start. And we've got a number of folks. And if there's anyone you think we should be interviewing that's not on our list, I would just say this, make sure Dean is aware of that and let us know and we'll accommodate. But right now I'm feeling really good about where we are. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
So John, you've actually started the interview process last Friday,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
So
Yes, we had a couple of
this is a list of the individuals that John's going to be interviewing: Carrie Kersey, Becky Benami, Dr. John Evans, Megan Owen, Chad Jensen, Paula Clucky, Nikki Schwering, Ed Smith, John Munson, Scott Ellis, and then the Department of Human Services staff in Des Moines. And so John and I had a conversation about any input that he would like to request from, is requesting from the board. If there's, John, can you go into a little, you and Becky talk a little bit about that or not?
I mean, the important thing is I want to kind of wait until we get a number of interviews done and then maybe some more questions that we come back and ask. Right now, everything's been very cooperative. I mean, the contract was sent our way. There are some issues that we're going to have with regard to financial questions in terms of revenue that the hospital's getting and where, your agreement is in terms of their additional funds that they get and how that all comes together. And we may want to come back and ask a few questions of the board, but Becky's been very helpful. We've received all the information we need right now. And I think we're in good shape. I just think that the issue for us is going to be to find out more from the hospital in terms of how they're administering the program, where all the funds are being allocated in terms of the operation, how they're coming in and how they're going out, and as well as funds that are coming from the State Department of Public Health today, and how those are used and utilized, and how much is being leveraged with other funds and other sources. And we have financial experts on our team that are going to look at that. But right now, I feel we're in a good position. We're in that preliminary phase, Dean, where we're trying to obtain as much information as we can. And if there's anything that any member of the board feels that we should look at, I can tell you that there's been some other counties in Iowa that have come to our attention that have had some similar experiences, and we're going to reach out to those counties as well. So anything that any board member thinks could help us in terms of our search that doesn't necessarily involve Carroll County, but a best practice to see how other areas are managing their public health delivery system would be important as well.
So John, are you gonna look at other surrounding counties around us and how their programs are set up and whether or not there can be any kind of sharing? Is that going to be part of your review as well?
I mean, when you say sharing, I'm not sure what you mean by sharing of resources.
I've heard that there are some sharing of services. Like you interviewed Carrie Kersey. We share environmental services with Crawford County right now. So will you be looking into any of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's part of the efficiency review. Yes.
Right.
And
correct.
But there's also a couple other counties we're going to be looking at as well. And some of it is for best practice. There may be some counties that are really doing a good job. And there's been some areas that we are really interested in that we hear from the Department of Public Health. And we're going to reach out to them as well. That's why our interview at the Department of Public Health is really important on December 8th. It's early enough in the process, and that's going to help guide some of the follow-up interviews we'll be doing for sure. And there's also a number of funding sources that are coming from CDC and additional opportunities that we just want to make sure that you're taking advantage of in the future. And so we'll be identifying those issues for the board and how, what that roadmap might look like in terms of efficiency. Some of it may involve leveraging, like you're saying, shared opportunities with other counties, but it's too early for me to even talk about that right now. But I'm feeling really good, Dean. after my discussion with Director Garcia, and she's really excited about this assessment. And she felt that the board, it's really exciting that the board's taking on this assessment at a time when public health is being looked at the state level as well, especially during COVID-19. So I think it's all great, for you guys, but I can tell you there'll be a lot of other things I'll probably want to report on. And I'd like to know from the board, what type of reporting would they like in this? This assessment will be done at end of January is our goal, to have the report to you for this phase. And, if maybe after these meetings, we come back and give another update, but it's up to the board. I just want to make sure that we're working at all times consistent with what the board's wants. That's all.
Let's see, that's really reported.
Was emergency management on your list of people? to
Yes.
interview?
Yes, and
Okay.
I'm interviewing the emergency management director. I think it looks like this Friday. We're trying to work on that date right now. Yes.
John, I have one question for you. What part or how much mental health is being brought into this conversation? It's a player, in my eyes, it is. I don't want to move public health along without having their input along with it.
I'm just writing this down. It is a very important part of this assessment. You were rightly so. It's a good question. Right now, the preliminary, information that we're looking at is probably going to be a little at a higher level, but when we meet with the state, that is one of the topics of conversation we're going to have. And the state is actually integrating right now public health into the Department of Human Services, which involves mental health, behavioral health, development disability, long-term services, a lot of your home health as well. And it's such a big issue nationally as well. So it will be part of the conversation. Right now, we're just starting, but it's going to be more towards, okay, are you taking into consideration all of the important aspects of how mental health connects with public health? And if not, here are some thoughts going forward in the future. Here's what your state's thinking. And so it's definitely going to be a part of this assessment.
Our director that we're in a multi-county mental health arrangement. And the gal that runs that has alluded to this a couple of 3 times in the past. She's been on point on this thing for about a year, that she thinks that mental health, public health, there's going to be a lot of combined work at the state level. And when she says when it scoops, it's hard to tell whether all of it's scooped up into the process or there will be fingers left out there. She really thinks it's all going to come underneath one wing, but that's kind of speculation. And I think she visits with the state level people quite often. So, I mean, I think she would be a very good person to talk to if you need to go down that path. Like I said, she's a regional player for us. We're 9 counties now, regional mental health. And we're kind of diverse. We have a larger metropolitan area, maybe not what you call large, but we call large. When it brings 102,000 residents into the fold, and it doubled our size because the rest of them are only in the 90 range when we're add them all together. So, but we have a interesting, diverse group. We have lots of rural, some urban. So we're a little different mental health region than some of the other ones across the state.
I'd like, Dean, if you can get the contact information, I'll
I can do
definitely
that.
add to our interview, because again, you nailed it as far as the discussion with the state. that's going to be one of the issues on the table. That integration is going on right now. So, it's important to make sure that we are taking advantage of that at the local level. And that could open up the doors for a lot of other opportunities at SAMHSA. So we're on to something.
The direction that they're headed is the
Yep.
biggest part of this whole thing to me. It is.
Yep. Yep. And I have a lot of confidence in Director Garcia. I know her from prior work in Texas. And I know she's a very vision-oriented, proactive commissioner thinking ahead. And so I'm looking forward to that discussion we're having a one-on-one meeting with her, and then we're meeting with her staff. And she mentioned a team. So there's going to be a number of folks. So we'll be putting our interview guides together, and there'll be some very robust discussions about both public health, mental health, but not just that, development, disability, long-term care, all areas of either chronic disease, illnesses as well. And what is the focus in terms of integration of services at the local level for the state?
No,
Not really.
that's health. And
Well, sort of. but
are
not
they
really.
kind of a outline?
They're kind of on their own, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
You know, I think one thing you might want to mention to John is how the legislature changed the funding.
Yeah, John, the legislature just changed funding. We were funding it locally, county by county on a per capita basis. The state has stepped in and they will be funding it now. Some of the issues that have jumped right straight to the front were, we're gonna give you the money, you're still gonna manage it as a county level, but yet we're gonna kind of tell you how to do it. So the interest level, I could see it in the faces, was like, well, why would I participate? You're gonna tell me how to do it. Why would I want to get in the middle of this? But I think the interest in the residents that they represent has kept them there. And the last meeting I was at, I thought they were a little more engaged than they were the first time we heard that. So yeah, that has all changed, and that's maybe part of the beginning of the plan too. So
Could very well be. And it's sometimes that's what starts legislation. And then, but the issue from us is going to be where's the value for the county? And you're our client. So we're going to ask the right questions. We'll see how it mixes and aligns and intertwines with the assessment of overall what the public health, the best public health environment and going forward in the future for the county. And I'm sure it'll be part of our recommendations.
okay, thank you.
And I appreciate the question. And I wish Richard Kellogg was on the line. He couldn't make it. And Richard is our behavioral health expert. And there's no one that knows behavioral health as good as Richard that I've ever come across. And so he'll be digging deeply into that subject.
Anybody else have anything? Okay.
So far, so
you know,
good, Dean. It's been great coordination and collaboration. So thank you.
You asked a question about when to report back again. Did you get your answer on that? I think it was kind of consensus that after you get done in January, that you can report back to us. Again.
Absolutely. What we want to do is, and I'll still want to kind of flesh this out with Dean and get all your thoughts, is that I'd like to give you some type of preliminary report. And I don't know if that's confidential or how you deal with that in your policies. I was thinking that before we give a final report. But we can discuss that and figure that out, what's best for the board. And sometimes we do that with clients.
Come out with a preliminary report, say in 30 days, something like that. Is that kind of what you're thinking, John?
Well, I think we had said that 2 weeks before the end of January, we would have a preliminary assessment for you all. Here's what we're finding. Here are the key areas. Here are the things that we've looked at, and give you the opportunity to respond, and then come out with our final report. So it's very collaborative. That's the approach we like taking, but I want to leave that up to you all, and if that works for you.
That sounds like a great idea. Yep, sounds good, John.
And again, that's only the phase one before we get into more of the needs assessment. But the phase one is really important to make sure that we get that to you in time and make sure you feel, I want to get your comments to make sure that we're on the right track. That's all.
So just so that everyone understands, the needs assessment will be like in March, correct?
Yeah, yes. And that will be involving some focus group surveys, and compiling a lot of data based on what we found. And
That's a community needs assessment that's required.
Well, are they gonna utilize some of St. Anthony's data being
Yes.
collected?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna
we're
be
gonna-
using.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
yeah, no, we're going to collect data from a lot of different areas, including St. Anthony's, but CDC, state, and there's a number of other sources we look at. We'll put that together, and we're also going to do our own survey. And we have a survey link, so we'll have some dashboards for you, and we'll be able to identify for you, here are how many folks responded, here's what they've said, here are some of their key comments. And I think you'll get a really good idea of, what the, assessment of health and wellness and well-being, especially well-being in your community is. That's our goal.
Okay,
Thank you, John.
Thank you
Yeah,
all.
good update. That's nice to hear, and kind of I do like the part that you say about collaboration and working together and making sure that we're both receiving and you're getting what you need and you're answering our questions, our expectations. So I do appreciate that. Thanks for taking the time.
And I would reiterate that on the 9th, when we're done our interviews at the St. Anthony's, we have some time in the afternoon until we leave to discuss or sit down with any member of the board. I realize if you get a group, it becomes a public meeting and there's all kinds of complications there. So if one member is available and wants to talk, just reach out to Dean, let him know, and we'll go from there, okay?
well, it'd be nice for you to meet the board, when you're here.
Yeah,
So maybe
I mean,
we
if it
can
works,
Something that
if
way.
I would love to, if it works. I just want to make sure we also accommodate if they want one-on-one to talk to us and say something. Again, our interviews, the way our process is always is we do confidentiality from every interview. So there's no names mentioned in the report. You can feel free to say whatever you want. And our reports are based on confidentiality. Okay?
All right. Thanks, John.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Okay. Was Elmbridge gonna show up there?
That's my understanding.
Let's go to committee reports now.
I'll go first. It's been pretty easy. Last Tuesday, like Gene said, I didn't know CABC meeting, but I did attend that. Basically covering their goals for the future. And I don't think they're much different than they were the year before. I think they had to kind of beat the housing growth pretty hard this time. And I get it. I understand what they're saying. Starting to have a little heartache about the term affordable housing. Affordable housing is different for you. It's different for everybody. And I think that we're trying to take a square peg and put a round hole. It's a moving target at best. I think you grab it when you can, and whatever piece you can get, whether it be high-end homes or low-end homes, you take whatever you can get and then try to move forward with it. But I think that's an age-old question. Then on Wednesday, Region 12, there was a new formula for each county and city. We discussed the due structure quite hard. It looks like we may be moving to 93 cents per capita. I think that was kind of the consensus of the board. Maybe my consensus, but that's true. Part of being on a board like that. So I think you, Courtney, will probably be hearing from you soon what the final number is. And I believe you were cents per capita, so it's like a 3-cent difference. A new loan review member from Audubon County was appointed. We did review a loan for a new business in Guthrie County, and it was approved. They have basically, they have a hammer mill that they do flour for. It is non-GMO flour, and that went from a hobby to a full-time business. They have landed a large contract with a big company, and they're going to be taking on, I think, around 6 employees before it's all over. So, and it's fairly automated system they're wanting money for. So
Wheat flour?
yes, he grows his own wheat. It's quite the operation. I didn't even know it even existed. It's between Guthrie and Stewart. It just shocked me. I didn't know it was even out there. It's called, I'll give you the name. It's Early Morning Harvest, if you'd like to look them up. Open house coming up in Glidden for the housing project. Had lots of applications already. We're going through those processes now. That those will be full and nothing flat. There will be an open house Monday, November 22nd, 3:30 to 5. You have time, please attend. It's quite the project. And now they'll be looking for another community they can trying to start to get something rolling there. It'd be nice, probably in Guthrie or Audubon County to get something going. Then on Saturday and Sunday, I came down to the jail on Saturday and hung around for about a couple, 3 hours, and on Sunday just for a couple hours. I did field a call on secondary roads Friday. Complaints of being quite slick, and I talked to Zach. The biggest problem they were having was the sand is trying to be dispersed out. The wind was blowing so hard it couldn't even get at the land on the road. They're trying to drive on shoulders to get it to work out. And it was a challenging one. Plus, it's the first snow, which everybody has trouble usually the first. This coming week, kind of a light week. I will try to attend the district tomorrow morning. And I may try the SEH Wednesday as I need to leave. Sometime Wednesday, I may stop for a little while on that. And I do have one subject I'd like to talk about before we get too far in. If you guys can remember to bring it up with SEH. And I don't know whether he found out during his interview process, but juvenile down here, they have to have urine tests from time to time. So I think they might be better suited to be further east where that old bathroom is down in that area. So we wouldn't have to, it could be a restroom that was probably, they could observe easier than coming down the hall and, for tests for juvenile. That's just a thought process. If something could wind up further down there, it might fit the operation.
So they do them here. She takes them here.
Yeah, she gives them a kit and they have to, and then I think she seals it and takes it someplace. But I assume it has to be for presence.
A lot of times they send that out, but
Yeah,
that may have changed too.
Yeah, so you might want to if I'm not here, we might want to instruct them to kind of revisit with her and also it just makes the process a little bit better.
So she's collecting the sample here and then probably taking it to the hospital. Yes.
I think they send it away.
Well, you just got to bring it to the hospital.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Is that what she has to do?
well, that's what I thought.
Oh, I didn't think about east. They do about there too.
I'll do wrong. Anyway, so we just, if I'm not here, drop that on John and see if you make sure he covers that. At least ask about it. So that can be something that might change. That's the only thing I've heard. Could be a little different. Like you.
They should bring that to you there.
No, I just happened to hear it in a conversation. There was talking to some of the juvenile, because they asked you if they were gonna move her. And I said, no. I said, I don't think we're gonna try to leave her someplace on this floor. She says, well, he said, you know, they said, then they mentioned something about a urine test. Now, wait a minute, what did you just say? And then we went through it, and it does make sense, so.
I can go next. Last week I had the newspaper and radio, and then we had Wesco Monday night. A lot of conversations about hiring and not finding employees. It's been tough for them, so they're stopping right now. They wanted to expand and kind of come up with more innovative systems and programs. But we're putting a halt on that for right now because there's a 70 to 80% decrease in applicants. So even if they did come up with a neat program to run, they don't have anybody to run the program. Which then led into our second conversation, and obviously with the conversations on the federal level about mandating vaccines, Wesco is also funded by Medicare and Medicaid. Right now, the attorney that we work with said we put a hold on it because there's still litigation present. But we want to prepare as much as possible if it does happen, and Wesco would have to be prepared to lose 20 to 25% of their staff. So I know you guys can obviously do the math. I don't know if Wesco, I don't know what you would do at that point, but that was a starting conversation that we had. Then Mr. Morrow did do our financial audit. He went through pretty much everything with us, made a couple recommendations. I can go ahead and send this down. Obviously, I'll pass it around. It is confidential. So, sorry, a lot of the conversation. Wesco did have another good month, pretty profitable month. They currently have over 11 open shifts. Mental health and all that Regents is going to play in effect to the second stones. If that is something that's going to take off the ground or if that's going to be depleted, because we just don't know. It's a much needed area of care, but it's not a part of the core services, so it won't be funded. Their current home is full, so there's no room. Then I received quite a few phone calls about daycare, and we're going to be having a meeting today at 4:30. Then I have SEH Wednesday, 9 o'clock, and I'm going to try and make it to the Regents Fall open house.
I can next. Last week, landfill monthly meeting, $132,000 they sold in recyclables and another record. The prices are starting to drop, but I think they're in the right time. Saturday and Sunday, I did open house at the jail for a little bit. And then this week I have redistricting tomorrow, SEH on Wednesday.
I can go next. Monday had a conservation board meeting Monday evening. It was a pretty full schedule, although there were a lot of items, but some of them they breezed through pretty quickly. One of the first item was Warren Puck from Manning is going to give a sizable sum to the conservation board to put in a dock. He wanted basically jetties out, but the bank falls off so quickly on the Western Ave pond that it would take a lot of material to get it to a point where it's like Swan Lake. And so, and it was primarily for fishing. He wanted the better fishing access down there. So they agreed they're going to put 2 of these. I'll send it around. They're going to put 2 of these piers, and they're floating piers, and they can stay in year round. So the proposed dock locations are pointed out on this map. And then the shaded areas were areas where they're going to work on increasing the fishing access from the shore. So that was a great donation. It's going to be a great donation from from Warren Puck. That was it for the Western Park. Fishing access, the beach renovations, I don't know, Scott, do you make it out there once in a while? So have you seen the floating,
The
the
kayak.
kayak dock? Yeah,
And new
yeah.
sand on the beach.
So, yeah, new sand on the beach. So that was basically a $12,000 project. And it sounds like people really like it. They can set their kayak in this cradle.
Yep.
Then they can get in off the dock and then is there a mechanism that actually lets them down in the water?
You just slide it out.
You just slide it out from there. So, yeah, it's gonna be used a lot from the way it sounds, and it was a $12,000 to do that. They used $8,000 and they got $8,000 from the Timmerman grant as well. Houlihan Access, I don't know if anybody's been out there to see the new memorial for Brett Ascheid. That's really cool. Playground equipment should arrive sometime in December. So they'll probably wait until spring now to get that assembled. The East Side Shelter Acoustics, if anyone's been out there when there's been a fair amount of people in it, it can get pretty loud in there. And so they did do a lot of, they looked around at other facilities around the state who had baffles that they could hang from the ceiling to help deaden the sound a little bit. So they're working that. It sounds like about $9,000 is required for that project, and they think the foundation is probably going to flip that bill. Ash borer tree removal. They took out about 30 trees. And they rented a stump remover that's they can put on the front of their skid loader. And I guess it really works well. They've got a lot more trees to take out in the future, so they're going to look at possibly buying one of those. As opposed to, geez, I think it would cost, I don't know what, I think it was like $50 a stump before, or up to $75 a stump. So they could recoup their costs really pretty quickly by buying one. Trail project update, JEO is doing the study for the trail repair project from Swan Lake to the recycling center. I think they actually probably have enough money to go to, they're going to try to have enough money to get to Carroll Coolers. And for an additional, they're thinking that for an additional $400,000, they can go from Carroll Coolers to Maple River and complete the project. So they're looking at a fundraiser to help them get that done. And it sounds like there's interest already in that. So the Region 12 does a 5-year plan every year, and they agreed to go ahead with that plan again this year. And that cost will be $500. An added agenda item was the Swarmlike Spillway. And they agreed to, since the outlet is so dry right now, they think they can get in there and remove some of the material so that that water can flow, when it comes out of the lake. Right now, it just pretty much sits there, and I'm not sure if I don't think that's such a bad thing for it to sit in that marsh area, but they're going to hopefully, I think, dredge a path so that there is an actual, there will actually be a moving waterway for it to get it out of there, which would probably help in the mosquito population reduction. Let's see, they did, Jason did comment on what it cost to resurface the trail 6 years ago around Swan Lake was $150,000 a mile. Now it's $200,000 a mile. So they can't wait to get it done and have it over, so they don't have that expense going forward. That was the conservation. Had a lot of discussion with John this week about going forward with the public health review process. Got a call from an elderly lady about, I talked to, this happened on Friday. Well, let me go back. I did participate in the Highway 30 Coalition meeting on Thursday. Not a lot going on. There was good updates. I think there's going to be more coming because of the infrastructure bill and how those dollars will affect, hopefully, move things along a little bit quicker for the Highway 30 project. Snyder and Associates, the bill for that is going to be $100,000, and I think they can raise $50,000 to $60,000. So there's going to be to complete the study. They're going to be short. They may try to do as much fundraising as they can to get that done, but there is a possibility they could come to the counties involved. My comment on that, I think they were talking about the counties that don't have any 4-lane, but I think it's beneficial that, if there was 4-lane across the state of Iowa, those communities that do have 4-lane now would definitely benefit from it as well. So I think they need to go to them as well and get some.
So is the bypass around Carroll dead? As
I don't know if it's dead at this point in time. I don't think there is no work. The DOT is not working up any kind of study or they're not putting any effort into it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I haven't listened to
The
it.
bypass thing, I think in the past is kind of.
Who knows? It sure could come back again if they decide to, if they have the dollars to do it. If they think it's the wise thing to do, I think they would probably do it. But I don't see that it's on. Yeah. Back to this phone call I got from an individual, this 90-year-old lady, who her and her friends like to go to one of the shelter houses out on Swan Lake. Well, it's the one that is behind the playground. So the playground used to be a parking lot for that shelter house. Now there is no access to that except by the trail. You have to walk. So when they have weenie roasts, they always used to go out there and then they would, I'm going to talk to Jason about it today. She's extremely upset about that. And one is wondering if there's anything that can be done so they can drive up to that shelter house. Well, I was out at Swan Lake last night, and there's another shelter house right to the west of that. And I'm not sure if she's familiar, but that's one of the things that you can drive right up to it. So maybe she's not aware of that one. But
What's the one to the west?
just right to the west of it. It's smaller, but that trail, that driveway that goes around.
Campground there. Oh, both are, but one's more further east.
Yeah, one's farther east and more on top of the
Basically where it
hill.
used to be the shower house. That's the one that she's talking about.
Yeah.
There is one that you go where the current shower house is at, to the north of that, that goes back. And there is a trail, a road that goes back to
yeah, so I don't know if, I guess we'll have a conversation with her again about this, but anyway, that was an interesting call. So that was my week. This week, we have the redistricting thing tomorrow, SEH. I don't believe I have any. Oh, yeah, I do. I have a Region 5 hazmat meeting on Wednesday, and Sarah, it's at the same time as our SEH meeting here. So Sarah Anderson is going to cover. She's the alternate for me on that, and I have a Board of Health meeting on Thursday. So it's a week.
Hey, oh, I lost my spot there. Okay, last week, basically, Tuesday had the CAC meeting, and that was basically, they went through our planning session at Region 12 kind of coordinated. And then on, I was going to meet with the jail inspector came in, and I was told it's going to be Wednesday, so I come for Wednesday. Well, he wound up showing Tuesday, so I didn't get that job done. But I was not able to attend Highway 30, which Dean, I think that was actually on Wednesday. It wasn't included.
Oh, it's on Wednesday, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's right.
the rest of the week, I spent our Saturday and Sunday I spent up here at the open house. I will say that I was up here the whole time. Ken and I both said, we wish we had a way we kept counting people. I mean, Saturday was a steady flow. Sunday was a lot heavier. Actually, a couple times I went up on the jail floor and people were about, there was enough people up there about tripping over each other. A lot of good comments made. I was real happy with the way things turned out. Even some of the people that I knew that had some issues were very pleased and surprised. All different ages of people, a lot older people. I was kind of surprised that we come to try to navigate the place. The other thing that I was surprised, a lot of young people with families brought the kids, which I think is a good thing, maybe a deterrent. So I thought that was good. Saturday's program kind of got to be all the other different one I was anticipating. One that was kind of a lengthy program, but it's an interesting program. What else is I going to say? Oh, we had, I did invite Calhoun County Supervisor John Beans. They are going to be housing people here. And I also invited, open it up to Pocahontas County that has a lot of questions about the jail. So there was supervisors from both those counties, the auditor from Calhoun was down here. Also, there was 2 supervisors from Guthrie County that was up here, and we had numerous sheriffs that from one from Third by Emmett County that has the losing team from Carroll County. So there was a lot of different people, but it was steady traffic all the whole time it was open. So very good. I was very surprised. I'm very pleased with it. So. I just wanted to think how many people that went through 1,200 or better, 2,000. So anyway, this week I have I got the redistricting meeting and also the SEH meeting on Wednesday, and then on Friday, the Yes Center board meeting is supposed to be in Cherokee. Okay, Courtney, do you have anything?
So
Is Overbridge supposed to be here today? Or?
at 10:30.
Oh, 10:30.
Yeah.
So do you have anything with as far as next week?
Right now, I just have Bill Day.
So we will have to. Yeah.
Those 30 trees out of Swan Lake.
Is there any comments from those in attendance there?
No comments online, no.
Okay, I'll ask you again later before we get done with the last session. Do we want to go into recess for 15 minutes?
Probably a good idea.
Okay, we'll go into recess for 15 minutes, wait for Elder Bridge to do their presentation. Convene here. And we've got Elderbridge here to give a presentation.
Yes,
Go ahead.
okay, well, thank you. I'm glad this worked out. So my name is Stacia Timmer, and I am the COO over at Elderbridge Agency on Aging. I don't know if any of you are new this year to this Board of Supervisor, that you may not be. You are,
But I
okay.
still attended the other meetings.
Okay. So I won't like go into big depth as to what we do, but I do want to kind of give you a brief overview. We are a state unit, well, excuse me, we are under the State Unit of Aging. We work under the Department of Aging, which is in Des Moines. There are 6 agencies like ours in the state. We cover 29 counties. The map is in the annual report. Carroll County happens to be one of our counties. We also have a physical office location here in Carroll, as well as Spencer, Mason City, and Fort Dodge. I am from the Spencer office myself, so it wasn't that bad of a drive. I kind of like coming to Carroll anyway. It's a pretty little town. So what we come to do every year is talk to the boards of supervisors in all of our 29 counties and ask to have a discussion about funding services that we provide in your county. So the best way and the best way to give a picture of what we provide is this county page is what I call it, but it's a specific data report for Carroll County. People like to know where their money's going, what it's doing, and how it's benefiting the people in their counties. This is what this report is showing. What I'd like to point out is, and you don't have the information from last fiscal year, but I was curious about what it looked like this year compared to our last fiscal year. I promised myself not to use the COVID word, but the pandemic caused some obstacles for all of us, obviously. At Elderbridge, our services did not stall. We did not cease any operations necessarily. We changed the way we operated, which everyone did. The biggest change that we see and what these numbers are showing is the number of home delivered meals that we provided in Carroll County especially increased. We've seen that in a lot of our counties across the board. We have congregate meal sites, which are where people come to a site, congregate, socialize, and eat. Because COVID, we kind of tried to get away from that, especially because of the population that we are serving. And we did all home delivered. With that, we saw an increase in people not wanting to go places, not having the accessibility that they had before to get food for whatever reason. So those numbers did increase across the board. In fact, I think the number of meals served increased by 2,000 at least from what I saw this morning as I was reviewing this in all of our meal sites here in Carroll County. The number of people that we provided direct services to also increased, as well as our subcontracted services. So we don't provide direct homemaker, personal care, health promotion, things like that. We subcontract with St. Anthony's as well as Carroll County Home Health here in Carroll County. Those numbers did increase a little bit too. We saw a slight decrease in some of the home health just because of not going into people's homes as readily or as necessary as before. But we did see an increase in personal care from last fiscal year to this one. Transportation is another biggie. We subcontract with Region 12 here in Carroll County. And we did see those numbers go down a little bit, basically because they ceased public transportation for a short term. We did do some creative contracting, I guess, with transportation. We asked some of our transportation contractors to kind of reverse their role. Instead of bringing people to a grocery store, bringing them to get items that they needed, we asked that they go pick up items and bring them to people's homes. And that worked out really well. So we continued transportation as we could, and we try to be creative and use the resources that we could to do that. So last year, the total amount of money in services that we provided here in Carroll County were just over $469,000. That's an increase from last fiscal year. Last fiscal was 378, 970. So we have provided a few more services here in Carroll County. We would love to continue to see that increase. To do that, obviously, it takes some funding. We have seen that with COVID, more people became aware of who Elder Bridge is and what it is we do, which is great. That's what we want. But to do that, we have to have a little bit more funding as well. We have received some ARPA funds. I will not lie, we received ARPA funding. That will end September 2024. What we are trying to do now is meet that federal match that comes with those funds. We still have to provide a 25% match. What's so imperative about county funding is we use county funding to provide that match so that we can pull that money down. Without that match money, we would not be able to utilize the funding that we need and rely on from state and federal. So the county funding is imperative for us to try to sustain services. Another kick that we got this year, there was a new census, obviously, and there's new census data. What we found is in our 29 counties in general, we decreased in the number of people in general. But what has increased is the number of people 60 and over in our area. Yes. So in fact, we were cut due to the new census data, 5% funding from the state and 5% from federal. Total is about $213,500 that we were cut due to the census. We have been in discussion with the Department on Aging to kind of try to gently point out that yes, population has declined, but the number has gone up. So we are going to see more needs. We're going to see more services requested from that population base. So again, we're really trying to ensure that that can continue and also sustain with county funding as well. Last fiscal year, we requested $3 per senior in each county. This year, we're asking for $3.05. As you can see, last year you did fund 16,000. Let's see, yes, $16,470 to Elder Bridge, which is wonderful. I like to point out the return on county investment is pretty significant. We did provide, this is the cost of services that we provided in Carroll, was over $469,000 again. So it's a pretty good return on investment on your money that you're getting through Elder Bridge. So if you look at the numbers and the data, we provided about $32.29 of services to each dollar of county funding that we received. So this year we're asking for $3.05, and I will be happy to answer any questions for you. It's kind of brief. I try to keep it short.
I might back up.
Yeah, sure.
So I think last year we gave you 14,538, and I think this year you're requesting 16,000.
You're right. Thank you. Thank you. You're right. I have that right here. It was 14.
So what are you requesting for fiscal 23?
The 16,000.
Yes, the 16,470. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Thank you.
You're talking about different years.
I know. And then you're like, it's fiscal, not current. And then we have federal fiscal years as well, which can't be the same either. Any other questions?
So how much totally, I see ARPA in here.
Sure.
How much did you receive from ARPA? Funding totally?
I would have to get with my finance director on that number specifically. I really don't know specific how much we got in ARPA. I know we had to separate it out for the next 3 years. So we did that. We just kind of cut it down the middle. We're trying not to use it all in the first year. We're trying to make it last until 2024 when that ends. I can certainly get you that number. I'd be happy to.
Yeah. If you
I just
can-
don't want to give a wrong number.
Yeah, if you can get it to Courtney and.
I would
then she
love to
can
do
share
that.
it with
Yes.
everyone else.
Yep, absolutely.
So you got a sheet on that back for that request in there?
It's
I
on the
do.
back.
I can give you one as well. You want it?
That sheet right there, not the one in your hand, but the one on the table. Flip it
The
over.
back, yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Got it?
pardon.
There's a lot of papers.
Monday morning.
Fight me on that.
Yes.
Now, my next question is, I'm all full of questions today.
That's okay.
This form here, what's that? It says IDA, resource IDA.
So that was found in the annual report.
Is that just,
IDA is the Department on Aging. That is our
okay, so
state.
this is something of your total. I
Yeah.
didn't want to make sure this wasn't in regard to IDA County.
Oh, no. Ida
Okay,
County
all
is
right.
not in our region anyway, but yeah. No, Ida would be Iowa Department on Aging.
Okay. Get the clarification.
Sure.
Okay, I'm looking at the homemaker and personal care.
Yeah,
So are these dollars that come from?
come from your county.
Yeah,
Some of them, a lot of them are state and federal funds.
so this is including the waiver program then? Is that
No, we
correct?
do not, we don't provide services to Medicaid individuals. So these are non-Medicaid.
These are non-Medicaid.
services. Yes,
Okay,
because
gotcha.
Medicaid has an MCO. So the MCO should be providing those individuals with their services.
All right.
Yeah, we do not supplement the MCOs.
So how are these services selected? Because you have the providers, Carroll County Home Health Care in both the homemaker and the personal care. And the other providers, St. Anthony Regional Hospital. How do you determine?
Well, we put out an RFP at the beginning of every fiscal year. So a request for proposal, any agency can request funding to provide certain services that we need. We do needs assessments in all of our counties to see what is needed. And sometimes different providers provide different services, but we want to give people a choice as well. And so if we can offer them two choices in a county as to where they want to get services, that's kind of our goal.
Okay.
And we like
I
to
mean,
support.
so I'm assuming from what you're saying is that, say like the personal care part here,
Sure.
the services are different between Carroll County Home Care Aid and St. Anthony. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm
Or-
saying is that they're just two different providers providing the
Providing the
same.
same service?
Yep.
And see what the better deal is.
Well, that's what I'm looking at.
A
you
lot
know?
less expensive when you're going
Mhm.
home health.
Yep.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
you said you sent out an RFP.
Yes. They
So
give us
doesn't-
kind of
isn't
their
it-
rate, their unit costs,
Yeah,
and then we determine kind of by how much they've used the previous year, what the need is, and then we determine how much funding to provide them. So they get a set amount of funding to utilize. And some costs, it is funny how that works across the board. Some costs are more, some are less. And that's kind of an individual agency.
so they're providing the same service though. The one service is costing $167 per unit and the other one's costing $53. So where would you go next year for those services?
I would probably just go to the $50 service. What we run
Well-
into is that they don't have the capacity to serve all of the people that we have that get referred to them. So that's a great point.
Any other questions?
You know that there's been a movement on funding.
Which we signed the 20th.
Okay,
Yes.
That's the only one we've done.
that's the only one we've done.
Yeah.
And you chose the 28E. Can I ask why?
That was brought to, which are I4A, so all of the directors of the AAAs got together. And with the, I guess, the consultation from the state auditor as well as county auditors from those other directors, we decided to go with the 28E and make it the same across the board for every county.
We're also looking at MOUs.
Oh, sure.
And just curious, how did you have any expense to the 28E with boilerplate? You found it someplace?
Yeah.
Adapted to way,
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what your expenses
Sure,
would be on those
It really
issues.
wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to make sure you don't throw it.
That kind of threw us a curveball this year, actually.
Yeah, through a lot of
Yeah.
curveballs. A lot of
Yeah.
people were going, well, wait a minute, we're gonna back up here.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes, and I will get you that number.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your questions. I appreciate that.
You're from where?
Spencer.
Spencer.
Yeah,
That's nice, Drew.
it wasn't bad at all. Yeah. We had a lot of tractors in the roads and pretty fast and,
Season's kind of getting over here.
yeah. There's a few fields that are still
Oh, yeah.
full, but for the most part,
Go to the Des Moines Metro, and look further south.
really.
No, they're still at
Wow.
a lot.
Wow. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Courtney, you got anything else?
I don't know.
Any comments from those online, Ben?
Nope, there's no comments online.
Nothing. Okay. Read on film for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Then move in second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's right. Motion carried. Why did you leave that on this?